We're covering life in United States west of the Mississippi River. Karim, start reading, please.
Yes. Modern cities are in many ways similar. Glass, steel, and concrete skyscrapers rise into the sky. Networks of highways carry heavy traffic. Cities in this region have distinct characters, though. The French flavor of New Orleans differs from the Spanish style of Santa Fe. New Mexico, Denver, near towering mountains, is unlike Omaha. Nebraska, um, re- on the relatively flat plains, what could be more different than tropical Honolulu and cold Anchorage. One characteristic common to almost all cities in the western United States is dependence on the automobile for transportation. Most western cities have limited or no subway or light rail system. In addition, most large cities are spread out, and the distance between cities are often great.
All right, so here at the beginning, he's talking about modern cities in the United States of America, how they are in many similar ways, they are look-alike. You'll find that they have skyscrapers. You'll find that they are a little bit similar to the French flavor or the Spanish one. And he has given us an examples, but he's talking about the common characteristics of them all. You'll find that they have a limited or no subway or light rail systems, and large cities are spread out, and the distance between cities are often great. All right, let's move to major port cities. And port cities means that they have ports which can facilitate the shipping case. Okay, who's going to read? Let me choose Abdurrahman Sobh.
Yes.
Read, please, major port cities.
Major port cities. The region has many major ports. Los Angeles and Long Beach in California are essentially one port. They handle more than one half the value of all imports into the United States that come through Pacific ports. San Diego and San Francisco, California, and Seattle and Tacoma in Washington state are also vital to U.S. trade with Asia. Although only a small part of the region is located along the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf ports are important. Three of the nation's top 10 ports in terms of the annual or yearly value of goods they handle are the Texas port cities of Houston, Beaumont, and Corpus Christi. Many of these cities are diverse. Los Angeles, the nation's second largest city, is home to people who collectively speak about 90 languages other than English at home. Los Angeles County has more Latinos and Native Americans than any other country in the United States. The city of Los Angeles has more people from South Korea and Nicaragua than any other cities outside those nations.
Thank you, Abdurrahman. He's talking about that the region also has many ports, such as Los Angeles and Long Beach in California. And he's mentioning that different or indigenous people are living in these states. And it is actually a home for people who collectively speak about 90 languages. Yes, we said that the United States does not have Native Americans or much Native Americans are living there. Actually, it is a home for indigenous kinds of people. You'll find that South Korean people are living there, people are from Nicaragua, or in people who are coming from outside the city. So the second feature that you need to know that the city is a home for ports and it has indigenous people living inside. Let's move to the interior city. So we have now big cities, we have port cities, and we have interior cities. Adam Al-Fahla, read.
Interior cities. Denver has an unusual location for a major city. It is not a seaport or the or on the navigable part of the river. Denver owes its vibrance to the mountain nearby. It originally grew as a mining town. In the late in the late 19th, the city attracted people who wanted to enjoy the mountains. Its economy is based on software, finance, and communication. Some of the nation's most rapidly growing cities are in the interior of the United States, west of Mississippi. They include Austin, Texas, Boise, Idaho, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Provo, Utah, and Riverside, California. In Texas, the location of San Antonio, Dallas, and Fort Worth near Mexico has them important to trade with countries.
Thank you, Adam. So here he's talking also about the interior cities and the situation, and he said that some of them has like a seaport or navigable part of the river. Some has attracted people to enjoy the mountains. Other cities, such as the interior of the United States, west of the Mississippi, include Austin, Texas, Boise, Idaho, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Provo, Utah, and Riverside, California. They have this kind of location that makes it look Mexican, and it has important trade with other countries. Let's talk about life in rural areas. Adam Wasson, read life in rural areas. Adam Wasson, life in rural areas.
Yes, small towns and villages remain home to millions of people in the states west of the Mississippi. Many rural Americans rely on the rich resources of the land and sea. They might be farmers of the plains or fishers in rural Alaska. They may drill for oil in Texas or run a ranch in Montana. Although these occupations have existed for centuries, modern technology often makes these jobs easier. For example, farmers and ranchers use GPS devices to map regions, manage the land, and track cattle.
Thank you, Adam. He's talking about the life in rural areas. Like any kind of a country, you'll find that it's a home, also home to millions of people who are living in the United States. They might be farmers, they might be fishers in the rural Alaskas, or drilling for oil or natural gas. They use GPS devices to map region and to manage the land and to track cattle. Let's talk about the challenges that could face people who are living there. Ward, please read about the challenges. Ward Wael. Ward,
بس هو ورد ما حضرش ولا حصة من الصبح، فممكن يكون عندهم حاجة مثلا أو كده. ما
really?
بظنش
بس
Oh,
الصراحة.
هو ورد تعبان وعيان وقال لي النهارده.
all right. Thank you, guys. Ibrahim Zaini. Ibrahim Zaini.
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Read about the challenges. Start with the population change.
Okay. In recent decades, much of the growth in USA population has taken place in the states west of the Mississippi River. This region attracts new residents because of the mid climate and growing business, but more people means a strain on natural resources such as water, which is already scarce in much the region. Ethnic and racial diversity are common in the states in the region. In Hawaii, Asian Americans and other distinct ethnic or racial groups form the majority of the population. In California, New Mexico, and Texas, Laotians constitute a large part of the population. In these four states, non-Hispanic whites are in the minority.
Okay, so he's talking about one of the challenges that face people who are living there, which is the population challenge. Population challenge means that people are living from different indigenous regions together, and they are trying to attract residents with the mild climate and the growing businesses. Also, you'll find that ethnic and racial diversity are common in the United States, and you'll find minorities. And also, it is marked by great religious diversity. You'll find Christians, you'll find Jewish, you'll find Muslims, and people who are coming from other religions. You'll find people who are called themselves Mormons, and Mormons are the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints. Another population trend raises important economic challenges because they are sharing the population over age 65 has been growing, and because that the country is actually taking care of the medical care, and they are running a program that pays more for the health care of the elderly people. Another challenge is the relations with neighbors. Who can tell me the challenge, the relations with neighbors? Who can read? Okay, Ahmed Saber. Ahmed Saber. Ahmed Saber. So Ahmed's not attending. Okay, he's absent. Marwa. Marwa,
Yes.
read relations with neighbors. Read يا مروة. Marwa, the mic is not active. Yusuf Dahroug,
Yes, Miss.
read relations with neighbors.
Relations between the United States and the neighboring Canada and Mexico are strong. In the early 1990s, the three nations signed a trade agreement called the North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. In the treaty, they pledged to remove all barriers to trade among themselves. This created the world's largest free trade area among themselves. Uh, Today, Canada and Mexico are the largest markets for exports from the United States. They also the second and third largest source of United States imports behind China, states west of the Mississippi. From a vital part of this trade, their food products and manufactured goods from a share of the exports to these nations. In addition, much of the trade that takes place follows into and out of the United States through ports in this region. Open borders help trade all this and also make it possible for people to enter the country illegally. In the late 19th, the problem of illegal immigrants drew a great deal of attention. The US government has taken steps to reduce the flow of illegal immigration. These efforts have had some such illegal immigrants dropped from about 550,000 people in 2005 to around 300,000 people in 2008. Changes in Mexico also help explain this reduction. A better economy, smaller families, and better education have meant better chances of landing good jobs in Mexico.
Thank you, Yusuf. So here we're talking about the relations with other people. Actually, we have many relations with neighbors in order to arrange whether the trade or other religious or political relations. So you will find an example like NAFTA with the treaty that has been between Canada and the United States. They can import and export without giving more money, and also they are exchanging food products and manufactured goods. Also, they have opened all the border for trade to help work on the economic situation. But actually, it also make to reduce the illegal immigration. We have also the water problem. Who can read about the water problem? Let's see. Noura, please read about the water problem. Noura. Noura,
Yes.
read please about the water problem. Start from the beginning.
Okay. Most of the United States west of the Mississippi usually receives little rain. Years of low rainfall can easily lead to drought. Between 1930 and 1940, a severe drought dried the southern Great Plains so thoroughly the crops died. Strong winds carried dry soil away, covering other areas with dust. The area came to be called the Dust Bowl. Many farmers lost their home and left the area looking for work. The Dust Bowl resulted in new practice in land use and farming. These practices were intended to reduce the chance of another Dust Bowl. Nevertheless, unusually low rainfall for several years could cause similar difficulties.
Difficulties, okay. Complete.
Uh, Difficulties in the future. The lack of water is more of a challenge because of population growth. As more and people more settle in the area, more water is needed. When farmers expand their operations, they also need more water. This strains the limited amount of water present in the region, which could limit economic growth. Limited resources have prompted scientists to develop ways to remove salt from seawater to make it usable for drinking and farming. This process called desalination is expensive but might provide a long-term solution to the problem in the future.
So here he's talking about the water challenge, which is actually a big challenge because although we have like the Mississippi River and other tributaries for it inside the United States, but you will also find that we are facing a problem of lack of water sources. So they have worked this problem by making an operation called desalination, which is turning salt water into fresh water by removing the salt. Okay, this is one of the most common problems too, which is the erosion and the environment and the human actions and the environment. You know that people are trying to mess with the environment by throwing garbage, messing it with it, and it's not a good way to work with the environment. So United States, one of the most leading countries in order to not to use the oil that killed plants under sea, and trying to work on this problem. Also the erosion, because erosion of rich soil, which is the topsoil, the fertile soil that crops depend on, is a problem in some farming areas, especially in the region of the western Mississippi River. They are experiencing natural disasters and it's destroying the wildlife, as you can see in the picture. So the region actually are prone to earthquake, which is a major fault system called the San Andreas Fault. So they're losing lives, and also they're losing a very important part of their economic activity, which is farming, which is very important. Okay. At the end, you'll find that the economy in the United States is working on modern agriculture, mining, and aerospace industry, and also service industries. Let me give you a brief about the 4 points. Let's start by, of course, modern agriculture. You know that we have fertile soil around the Mississippi River and its tributaries. So you'll find that the farming is very wide over there. And we have talked and killed it when we are talking about the agribusinesses, which are firms that rely on machines, advanced technology, and mass production methods to farm large areas. About the mining industry, you know that because we are having like underground treasures, people are mining in order to find copper and timber and other uranium, which provide the nation with more jobs for people in factories and manufacturing. The aerospace industry is a new one. This is a new one, or a new field that we haven't heard about it before. Aerospace is industry that make vehicles travel in the air and in outer space, and they are trying to explore the space because it's very important, and it's taking place the computer industry. They are experiencing this, especially in California, and they are doing researches and manufacturing to find more about the aerospace industry. The service industries, I told you before about this kind of an industry. It works on computer technology, manufacturing, banking, finance. These are not services that produce products. No, these are just a matter of services for people. That's why we call it service industries. This was all about the life alive of the United States with the Mississippi River. Anyone want to ask any question about the lesson? As I told you before, this lesson is not included in the term exam. I already put the material exam on the SMS. I'm uploading the revision sheets to be ready for next week on SMS2, inshallah, maximum by Saturday morning. Please check them. Please do not forget about your project because its deadline will be next Wednesday. Don't forget to send it to the SMS, please. Thank you, guys. See you next session.